Jobo here with Rob Mazika, taking a look at tonight's 5-game NBA slate. And really, I mean, we're lucky to have 5 games. You know, there was a possibility that 2 were going to be ruled out with the snow up there in the Northeast.
We're very lucky. My family's from up north. They're saying they're getting near 25 inches of snow today, and I'm shocked that these 2 New York games are going to be playing, but they came out and said that they're playing regardless of what happens, so it helps us out with the DFS tonight.
Yeah, and we look at this slate. I mean, it's really top heavy. Obviously, Westbrook, LeBron, Cousins, Davis, some other names. And you're kind of forced into playing value that maybe on a normal slate you wouldn't really be looking at.
Definitely. On a 5-game slate and with Westbrook being over 13K, if you want to fit him, you're going to need some 3K, 4K guys in order just to have him in there.
Yeah, and it makes for some interesting swerves with some of the other bigger guys, which we'll get to. First one here, Detroit and Cleveland, 215 total. Cleveland at home, 8-point favorites. On the Pistons side of things, I mean, I'm pretty much more intrigued with the backcourt than anything because it's on the cheaper side, and the Cavs haven't been good against defending guards this season. Reggie Jackson, I mean, obviously tournament only, but, I mean, he actually has shown some upside of late.
I agree. Reggie Jackson's the guy who I'm looking at in Detroit. His home and away splits are a little concerning considering he averages 5 points less on the road than he does at home. But in a matchup against Irving and the Cavs, and he's been playing well lately, so it's definitely a spot where he could pay off this cheap price.
Yeah, I think the only other guy that I'd be looking at is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You know, more on FanDuel where you have to roster 2 shooting guards. Only 4,700. This is a guy who's really shown a low floor this season, but at the position, I mean, if you're not spending up, you are spending down on guys like this.
FanDuel only for me with KCP tonight. It all depends on his shot. When it's falling, he does well. When it's not, he can get you 2 fantasy points in a game. But on FanDuel, where you have to roster 2 shooting guards, he's the guy I'm looking towards.
And on the Cleveland side, I mean, LeBron obviously just been a triple-double machine of late. He's up there expensive, but, you know, still when you're looking at a $2,000 difference from Westbrook, I think he's a viable swerve still because, one, he does have that big upside, and you can also save some cash. I'm not particularly worried. I know Detroit is, you know, decent against small forwards, but you look at what James has been doing of lately. I mean, he's matchup-proof anyway.
Yeah, I agree. James, he's been playing pretty well. It's just if you're not paying for Westbrook, you're going to find another stud because you can't fit them both on DraftKings, and I don't think you can FanDuel it either, really. It's going to be tough. But it's definitely a good tournament pivot to use LeBron tonight.
You know, anyone else here, I mean, I feel like Kyrie Irving's a little bit too expensive for my taste, really on both sides.
I think everyone else in this game is priced a little bit too high.
Pacers Knicks, 210 here. I like this one. I mean, this one actually, you know, gives us some decent points per dollar return. You know, on the Pacer side of things, 106 total. I don't mind Paul George. I mean, Paul George is a reasonable fit with the Westbrook tonight. Probably more on FanDuel, less on DraftKings. But he's certainly in play. I mean, good spot. Knicks do struggle against small forwards.
Yeah, his price is definitely at a point where you could fit him and Westbrook in together, or him and LeBron, or someone else, and still have a decent lineup around it. He's played well against the Knicks in his career. Even this year, he's done all right. He's been playing better lately, over 40 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5 games, and the Knicks, they're just bad. Yeah,
I mean, they're bad all around, and I think the other guys I'm looking at, I mean, you know, Miles Turner, more on DraftKings where he's a little bit cheaper. This is a guy who, I mean, should come out and put up a decent game. We haven't really seen a lot of upside out of him of late, but I feel like a lot of these centers are kind of in a similar boat where I think they should be able to grab some near double-doubles.
I agree. Turner, he's showing that he could explode for a big fantasy game anytime, and this is a spot where he's done it a couple times already.
Anyone else on the Pacers side you like?
Not really.
I think the only guy I might have some interest in is just Thaddeus Young. We haven't seen a lot out of him of late, but it is a good spot. And one, if you're looking for minutes at a cheaper pricing, he can give them to you.
Yeah, and he's played well against the Knicks this year too.
And on the Knicks side, I mean, I know you're a big fan of Hernan Gomez tonight.
Always a big fan of Hernan Gomez, but tonight especially, considering I feel like he's going to come in lower owned than he should. His price is only $5,300 on DraftKings. He's been playing well lately. It's just he hasn't really been owned, and the minutes have been in question. But if he gets you his normal 27, 28 minutes tonight, which I expect he can get, he could put up a score in the 40s.
Yeah, he could. I mean, this is a guy who, one, rebounds really well, a good fantasy points per minute guy. Really is a guy who actually stays out of foul trouble for the most part, too.
Yeah, he's a very good player. Those Europeans know how to play.
As far as Porzingis goes, I mean, I like him a lot tonight. The price tag still really isn't all that high on him on both sites. I really like him on FanDuel. I mean, he's only 6,600.
I like him on both sides. You're right, FanDuel especially at 6,600, but those last two games over 40 fantasy points. That's what I like to see from him.
Yeah, I mean, we know the upside there. I like targeting against Indiana as well as far as bigs. They're not a good rebounding team. You know, struggle a little bit as well. As far as other guys, I mean, that's basically it. I think Melo's probably off my radar. They always try and tempt us with that price, but I can't do it.
It's tempting, but I personally can't either. But I wouldn't argue against you if you did it.
Thunder Nets next one here, 223. Starting with the OKC side of things, 115 total, second highest on the night behind Golden State. One outside of Westbrook, everyone's at a really nice price tag.
Everyone, but first of all, lock in Westbrook. Just play him. But yeah, everyone in Oklahoma City, best matchup you're gonna get. There's some cheap value like Andre Roberson. Even Victor Oladipo is priced too cheap. Like you can pretty much just pick anyone in the starting five and really feel comfortable with them.
I mean, Oladipo's really nice price tag on FanDuel. I mean, 5,900. Obviously, we got the roster too. Brooklyn 28th against shooting guards, and you look at Oladipo. I mean, averaging right around 30 fantasy points over the last 10 games as well.
Yeah, he's been playing very well, and his prices are really cheap on FanDuel too.
As far as the bigs go, I mean, Taj Gibson looks like he's playing tonight. Steven Adams has kind of dropped off since Gibson's come along. I like Cantor and GPPs. I could certainly see him come in here and just go absolutely bonkers against this type of front court defense.
I agree. I'm going to have exposure to pretty much everyone in the starting five, and including Taj Gibson.
As far as the Nets go, a frustrating team. I like Jeremy Lin a lot. I mean, he's probably my favorite player on the Nets to roster right now just because minutes are starting to creep back up into the high 20s, high usage. And obviously, you know, we like targeting against Westbrook as well.
I like Lin. I like this whole game as a stack. The Nets are tough to peg, though, because they really don't have guys who play heavy minutes. But Lin with the matchup against Westbrook is good just because we always target against him. And then a guy at the bottom who I'm really interested in is Quincy Acey. He's only 3,400 on DraftKings, a little over minimum price on FanDuel. But over the last 3 games, he had over 20 fantasy points each game, and I'm fine with that on a slate where we need someone cheap to fit in Westbrook.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we're making exceptions on this slate for guys like that just because, one, he's super expensive and you know, the value is not particularly the greatest in terms of consistency. Another guy that I do like, Sean Kilpatrick. I like him a little bit more on FanDuel, where he's only 4,200. Has shown some upside of late. The mints have kind of been creeping up as well. You know, we've seen big upside games out of him before in a decent spot.
I agree. It's definitely a spot, as long as he doesn't get that Oladipo defense, though.
Yeah. As far as everyone else, I mean, you know, LeVert, you know, Hollis Jefferson, all guys that I don't know if they just play enough minutes or show enough upside in a slate like this.
I don't think so. I don't think we need to go there at this point, especially with it being 5 games.
Portland, New Orleans, next one here, 216. Pelicans 110 total here. Trailblazers 106. I feel like on the Portland side, everyone's a little bit too expensive for me. Probably the only guy that I could actually remotely use is probably Alfred Aminu, who's actually been pretty good off the bench. More of a FanDuel play, though.
I agree. That's pretty much it for me on the Portland side. On the New Orleans side, there's a couple guys who we like, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like Drew Holiday and GPPs tonight. Just 7K on DraftKings is a really nice price tag for him. And I like the bigs as well. I mean, I think there's obviously upside. We've seen it at times. It's kind of fluctuated between Cousins and Davis has torched Portland this season.
Yeah, I really like Cousins, though, in tournaments. He's only 9,600 on DraftKings. He's cheap price, and you could actually fit him in like Paul George or something and get really contrarian.
Yeah, and Cousins only 9K on FanDuel as well. So I mean, he is the cheaper of kind of the studs tonight, and it does give your roster a different look. And I don't think a lot of people will be going for him just because, one, didn't play a lot of minutes, sat most of the fourth, which was a little bit concerning.
Yeah, he was in foul trouble too at some point in the game. I just think he bounces back. He's the type of player who could put up a big score at any time.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think the only other guy that I might take a look at is Jordan Crawford. I mean, he's kind of come in and actually played pretty well. I mean, over his last 3 games, 29, 28 FanDuel points. I mean, I could use him for near bare mint.
I agree. He's a guy who you could put in to fit in Westbrook along with some of these other cheapies. It's just another guy at that bottom barrel where they're not the safest option, but they have upside.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of really Holiday, I mean, none of these guys, Thompson, Hill, Frazier, have really come in and done anything to really earn any more starting time.
Yeah, it's starting to look like he's going to take those minutes from those guys.
Next one here, Sixers and Warriors, 219 total, blowout concern. I do think that blowout concern is there tonight just because, one, Sixers, tough road trip here. Also, Warriors back at home.
Yeah, Warriors going to run away with this one. It's Steph Curry's birthday. He's going to put on a show in the first half and sit the second half.
I think the only one I can realistically trust on the Warriors side is just probably Klay Thompson.
Same here. He's the type of player who plays in the blowouts regardless. Even like Andre Iguodala and the cheap guys like him, Ian Clark, I have some interest in them because in a blowout they'll get some run.
As far as the Philly guys go, I mean, Saric expensive. I'm curious to see his ownership tonight because of the price. I mean, I do like him if you think this game's going to stay close. For me, probably just more of a correlation play if I'm playing, a Curry, Thompson, in the same lineup.
I think I could use him regardless. In tournaments only, though. Cash, I couldn't do it because of that blowout. But sorry, in a tournament, like if this game does stay close, it's going to be because of Saric just absolutely carrying this team, and he's going to win Rookie of the Year. I'm calling it right now.
As far as the bigs go, I mean, Okafor, Holmes. There's no depth with that lineup anyway. I think Holmes is safe regardless of the blowout. I mean, I don't mind using him in cash or GPPs.
I agree. Holmes is a good play, and so is Okafor for cash and GPPs alike.
As far as the wings, I mean, Robert Covington was doubtful this morning. I mean, I think he was ruled out at one point, and then all of a sudden it bumped up to questionable. I don't have any real interest in whoever fills in if he does sit. I mean, Justin Anderson might get some minutes, but overall they might go with a 3-guard system, which they did in the last time.
I think that's more of what they'll do. I think Covington might play limited minutes at least, though.
Yeah, so, and if Covington sits, I think that's a downgrade, even more of a blowout concern.
Yeah, definitely.
So, that's going to wrap things up here. Why don't you head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com, check out our great tools and content.
Yep, good luck, everyone.